Well, y'all, for once we have a lot to talk about, and I wanted to start off by showing this picture on the screen here, a nice meme that MLB on Fox made. But yes, the Rangers have not only made one, not two, not three, but four free agent signings so far. We don't even know what else is going to happen, but they have landed Marcus Simeon, Corey Seeger, Cole Calhoun, and John Gray all within the last 36 hours, not even. It's more like 24 at this point, but really insane. I want to make this more brief video to just talk about the details of each contract, and then I'll probably do a podcast episode where I just ramble about it more or less. But taking a look at the fine print here, the Marcus Simeon deal was the first one that they did that set Twitter on fire, and then they just annihilated it today. But Marcus Simeon's deal is worth $175 million over the course of 7 years, which is about $25 million a year. And he will be playing second base for the Rangers. So I assume Nick Solak will get DFA'd or traded. And there was not too much crazy about that deal, I don't think. However, with the Corey Seager deal, that is literally the bigger deal here. 10 years, $325 million. It does not include any opt-outs and has only limited no-trade protection, meaning that he can't just leave if he gets tired of playing. I mean, he could retire, I guess, but he can still be traded, which is interesting. I'm assuming with the limited part, it means he does have some say, I don't know if the Dodgers wanted to get him back or something. Maybe he could say, yeah, I want to go to LA again. So I'm not super familiar with that, but that's the Corey Seager deal. And then they weren't done there. They started off with Simeon, and then they signed John Gray, right-handed pitcher, for the Rockies before, and now for the Rangers, of course. 4 years, $56 million deal on that one. And I thought that was a fine deal, Rangers need pitching, and he is objectively a pitcher. So we're going to see what happens. I don't know. His numbers don't help him. Let's just say that, His numbers do not do him any favors. But you have to remember, it's Coors Field. This man's been in Coors Field for the better part of his career at this point. I think that's actually the only team he's been with. But he was a number 3 overall pick, and he has a 4.59 ERA in his career in 7 years with the Rockies. But, you're pitching in Coors Field. His ERA plus is a 107, which for those who don't know, that just means the league average is 100. So he has a better than average ERA. It's kind of backwards for the ERA plus. You want a higher number. And that adjusts for defense and ballpark. So that's a pretty good metric to use. He's above average if you put him in a more normal ballpark. And then a 3.91 FIP, which is fielding independent pitching. It's something like that. Which that just says if this guy didn't have to worry about defense, what would his ERA be, I believe. So that's a 3.91. And this article I'll have in the description from CBS Sports says it does indicate that he's a lot better than what your typical ERA indicates. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with that. It's not an unreasonable deal, especially for a starter these days. And then lastly, but certainly not least, you got Cole Calhoun, former Angel, I think. And he's been a Rangers killer for a long time, so it's glad to have him on our side now. It's a 1-year deal with a team option for 2023, and the contract is worth $5.2 million. If you really want to get nitpicky, they technically did overpay him, but we're talking about a dude who's going to be on the bench, and he's 34 years old, so they probably had to tell him, hey, we're going to put you on the bench, so don't get mad. Here's some extra money. That's what I see in my mind. I don't know if that's the case. And this will be in the thumbnail too, but here's a better look at Seeger in that uni. I don't know how they make Photoshops this fast. And then here's a good Marcus Simeon one. That's some First of all, those uniforms. That was probably my favorite ones. That just has the Rangers font in kind of the cursive. And it's simple. It's got the nice coloring on the sleeves there. Getting distracted though, but I did want to show, or rather say that they do now have the record for most amount of money committed in an offseason in MLB history, folks. We're not just talking about in the last 10 years, last 5 years, whatever. The Rangers have committed $556 million so far. So we can't say that they don't spend money. I'm guilty of saying that because they hadn't up until this point. So that narrative is dead. The Rangers spend money. They just spent over $500 million, or committed it rather, for the future, for the next 10 years. I mean, Corey Seeger is going to be here and he's 37. That's a pretty insane thing to think about, 10 years from now. Marcus Simeon will be retired at that point. Jack Leiter will hopefully be building his Hall of Fame resume by then. So I'm getting way off topic, but my point is these were all very good deals, and I don't think they're done yet either. They still could go get Kershaw, Stroman, even Kenley Jansen, get some more bullpen guys. A few bullpen guys just got signed, actually. I think Kirby Yates got signed about 15 minutes or so before I recorded this. So my point being, this is a phenomenal offseason for Texas. There's no other way to put it. And no one should complain about this. I know maybe the Simeon contract was a couple years too long, but you got to get him to come here, man. You can't just you can't just give him like a 4-year deal and be like, yeah, come to a team that might be ready to win in 4 years or something. Like, you got to give him a long-term deal so they can come here and prove what they got and hopefully win a championship. So that's it for this video, though. I will have a podcast out talking about all of this in much more detail, but I'm keeping it condensed here, just giving you the facts. Corey Seager, 10 years, $325 million. Marcus Simeon, 7 years, $175 million. John Gray, 4 years, $56 million. And Cole Calhoun, 1 year, $5.2 million. Let me know what you think in the comments about all this. It's all positive. I mean, this is what we've been begging for since 2015 and 16 is please go get some free agents. And they got probably one of the best shortstops of the last 5 or so seasons. So, pretty happy. No complaints at all. And with all that being said, I will talk to y'all later.